dominated the world have used money to rule it and have ruled it in their own interest. It looks at a world economic system that has no regard for the poor, that has no regard for the small nations, that has no regard for the poor of the small nations. And the policy is a dignified policy, is not a violent policy, is not a policy of guns. It's a very honorable policy, but it is a very clear policy. It is a policy that calls the poor of the world to stand together, to stand firm together, to struggle together, to struggle for change, to struggle for justice, to struggle through organization, to struggle through will, to struggle through determination, to struggle to build a new kind of world in which your children and mine will walk with more dignity, with better housing, with better opportunity, with better prices, with better response from the World Monetary System. That is the world to which I call you. That is the world for which I struggle, and no power will turn me back from that world. And comrades, if you go and walk with me, if you go and step with me, if you go and move with me, we're moving as warriors. We're moving in determination. We're moving to struggle. We're moving to change that world. No power will turn us back.
Me ever fresh, me no green.
Me coulda never green, dog. Me no chow chow. No. Ha 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 ho ho. Who ya know?
But if change is what we really want to see, ladies and gentlemen, then we must rise up. We must unite. We must advocate. We cannot remain silent. Where are the young men, the young women, the men, the women, the boys, the girls who will put aside political divide and do what is best for Jamaica? Eternal Father, bless our land. Guide us with thy mighty hand. Keep us free from evil powers. Be our light through countless hours. Even our pledge, our national pledge, says before God and all mankind, we cannot see a better Jamaica unless we return to the foot of the cross. Jamaica under God must increase in beauty, fellowship and prosperity, and play our part.
If I lived in China or even Russia or any totalitarian country, maybe I could understand some of these illegal injunctions. Maybe I could understand the denial of certain basic First Amendment privileges because they haven't committed themselves to that over there. But somewhere I read of the freedom of assembly. Somewhere I read of the freedom of speech. Somewhere I read of the freedom of press. Somewhere I read that the greatness of America is the right to protest far right. And so just as I say we aren't going to let any dogs or water hoses turn us around, we aren't going to let any injunction turn us around. Well, I don't know what will happen now. We've got some difficult days ahead. But it really doesn't matter with me now, because I've been to the mountaintop. I don't mind. Like anybody, I would like to live a long life. Longevity has its place. But I'm not concerned about that now. I just want to do God's will. And he's allowed me to go up to the mountain. And I've looked over and I've seen the promised land. I may not get there with you, but I want you to know tonight that we as a people will get to the promised land. So I'm happy tonight. I'm not worried about anything. I'm not fearing any man. Mine eyes have seen the glory of the coming of the Lord.
I said I'm happy every day as I travel through this land. I've been mighty blessed by God, and I'm holding to his hand. Yes, mommy, I see you. Yes, the journey's almost over. Shut up. And the battle is nearly won. And I have a feeling. I have a feeling in my heart. The best is yet to come. Slide up it over there, so who not ready to get? Who not get up? Who not get up, no man? Who not get up, no man? I feel mad in this place. Let's go. I am happy every day as I travel through this land. I've been mighty blessed by God, and I'm holding to his. Over there, so I said the journey's almost over. I know the battle is nearly won, and I have a feeling in my heart the best is yet. Come on, sir. I said the best is yet to come. When I walk through heaven's gates, yeah, I said the first time I'll see Jesus. I can hardly wait. And he showed me to a mansion and said, child, this is your home. And I have a feeling in my heart. You know this one? Listen, shut.
Oh, you know.
I want to hear the angels singing. I want to be in that number. I want to hear that trumpet song. We have done now. I want to hear archangel voice. I want to hear archangel. What I want to hear when my name is called. I want to hear. Everybody know. I want to hear. I want to hear. I want to hear. I want to hear. Watch out now. I want to see the angel marching. I want to be in that number. I want to hear. I want to hear that trumpet song. I want to hear archangel voice. I want to hear. God bless you now. I want to hear. When the name is called, I want to hear. Everybody do so, everybody do so. If I'm not living for Christ, then I cannot be here. Get something and wave it. Get something and wave it. Get something and. If I'm not living for Christ, then I cannot be happy. Walk out, Christian, walk out, Christian. I only live my life to please. Send me rocking for the road and the star on my phone. I only live my life to please. Live up my life. Come on, man, we have done, man. Everybody, so. Live up my life. Live for a silent night. What a holy night. But your virgin mother and child. Holy, so tender. Talk to me now. But sweetly, God bless you, God bless you. Let me tell some people, I know one prayer we pray. We pray.
Blood and fire, comrades who are in jungle tonight. On a know that the word is love. Comrades, me come with a speech, but it's a different speech me have to give tonight. But before I go into that, we have been saying all night that young people know say time come. And I want to bring up a young man who has looked for himself, him read for himself, him search for himself, and when him done, him realize that the only choice he could choose is the People's National Party. And I want to welcome Comrade Perry.
Hold on. We don't have much time. When I say time, you say come. Time. Senator Murray, somebody asked me, Perry, why aren't you a Labourite? Me ever fresh, me no green.
Me coulda never green dog, me no chow. No. Ha, ho. Who ya know? Underpants, Paulo. We the gal in the
Hold on, cut in, man, hold on.
Me coulda never green.
Hold on, no DJ, man, hold on. I don't have much time. The next Prime Minister, let me shake your hands, so big up yourself, Mark Golding, Jensek, and brother, Dayton Campbell, doctor. Listen, in 1938, the People's National Party was formed out of the vision to help the poor people. It was born out of restlessness of the people seeking for better. And I believe that the People's National Party continues to be the answer for the people. Can I hear an amen? Hold on. In 1995, under the auspices of PJ Patterson, the most honorable, there was a revitalization and an extension of the new National Youth Service Program, which gave young people the opportunity to earn Commander Man Church. It gave people the opportunity to better themselves. I don't have much time, but hear what? I hear the other people them say, you must choose Jamaica, but you can't choose Jamaica without choosing the people. God bless you.
Me coulda never green dog, me no chow. No. Ha, ho. Me coulda never green dog, me no chow.
You have your blood, comrades.
Comrades, I want to let you know that young man is the former guild president at the University of the West Indies. That is the kind of young people that we attract in the People's National Party.
A corrupt government cannot liberate the people. If the head of the stream is corrupt, the entire river will be also. I do not support corruption. Corruption takes money away from children's education. It deprives hospitals of basic necessities. It means that roads are not fixed. Corruption deepens inequality. It siphons off taxpayers' money to make a few cronies richer with the political connections instead of benefiting the people. This government has been doing everything it can to weaken and undermine the Integrity Commission, which is an institution that I designed as Minister of Justice and brought the legislation to Parliament to fight corruption in this country. I have said it before and I will tell you again. Jamaica cannot move forward without a government built on integrity that embraces principles of good governance in this country.
Lightning and thunder for the JLP. Oh. Corruption in the nation. What a sticky situation. Always see a degradation. Innocent men at the station. Andrew and his cronies getting richer, them a big done. Talking about them helping out the poor. Tell me which one. Juliet, a speaker of the house, me can't believe it. Them mashing the housing trust for people I go feel it. The JLP, them satanic and demonic. Now war fit the youth, them prosper only fit them pocket. I beg is hamping. Corruption in the nation. What a sticky situation. Always see a degradation. Innocent men at the station. Andrew and his cronies getting richer, them a big done. Talking about them helping out the poor. Tell me which one. Juliet, a speaker of the house, me can't believe it. Them machine the housing trust for people I go feel it. The JLP, them satanic and demonic. Now war fit the youth, them prosper only fit them pocket. I beg you stop it. Corruption in the nation. What a sticky situation. Always see a degradation. Innocent men at the station. Andrew and his cronies getting richer, them a big done.
The perspective with Perry Cummings Jr. Big up yourself. The best is yet to come. This is my perspective. Telling you my perspective. This is my perspective to bring change that I feel me objective. Scandal after scandal. Look where Jamaica come to. Them a rob the money and a thief a lot too. Election tactics, what a disgrace. Them cut off ribbon and the place. No safe, it's a prime minister. Are you me a address? Police a kill off the youth if you check. Talking about the way country are the best. But though this is my perspective, telling you my perspective. This is my perspective to bring change that I feel.
I'm pressing on the upward way. New heights I'm gaining every day. Still praying as I'm onward bound. Lord, plant my feet on higher ground. Lord, lift me up and let me stand by faith on heaven's stable land, a higher plane that I have found. Lord, plant my feet on higher ground. My heart has no desire to stay where doubts arise and fears dismay. Though some may dwell where these abound, my aim is higher ground. Lord, lift me up and let me stand by faith on heaven's stable land, a higher plane that I have found. Lord, plant my feet on higher ground. I want to live above the world, though Satan's darts at me are hurled, for faith has caught the joyful sound, the song of saints on higher ground. Come on, perspective. Lord, lift me up and let me stand by faith on heaven's stable land, a higher plane that I have found. Yes, like up the live as you join. Lord, plant my feet on higher ground. I want to scale the utmost height and catch a gleam of glory bright, but still I pray till heaven I found. Lord, lead me on to higher ground. Lord, lift me up and let me stand by faith on heaven's stable land, a higher plane that I have found. Lord, plant my feet on higher ground. Mighty God, greetings, my perspective family. How are you doing today? It is the 26th of May 2026, and indeed I am happy to be here. How are you doing, ladies and gentlemen? Tell me how you're doing in the chat. Please to like up the live. We're gonna have a good show. It might be a long show. I feel like taking my time tonight. We have a lot of things to discuss, but the Lord is going to help us tonight. Like the live if you're watching and you recognize you're unable to participate in the comments. It is because you are not a subscriber. Please subscribe. We don't block people over here. Whether you're a comrade, a labor wrong, or an independent who is lost in the wilderness, we facilitate you over here. We facilitated labor wrongs in the comments until we don't see them anymore. They cannot handle the truth because we don't block them, but they're unable to stay for very long because we don't entertain them. So eventually they have to leave because we don't give them the time of day. But Jesus knows all about our struggles. Come on, He will die till the day is done. There's not a friend like the lowly Jesus. No, not one. No, not one. Yes, Jesus knows all about our struggles. He will guide till the day is done. There's not a friend like the lowly Jesus. No, not one. No, not one. Let me know where you're viewing from, ladies and gentlemen. Let us dive right into the fray. We're going to just dive right into it. We're not running away from anything. We want to know every single thing and we're diving right into it. Come on in, ladies and gentlemen. Mountain View, win some Graham. Big up yourself for your husband. Yes, yes, yes. Michigan, Florida, Christiana, St. Elizabeth. Come on in. Spanish Town, Southfield, St. Elizabeth, Spanish Town. Big up yourself. Norwalk City, Bronx, New York. Mary is viewing from her couch off Hagley Park Road. Come on, Clarendon, Listowel, Ontario, Canada, Manchester, watching from Montreal, Portland, Louis Vale, St. Catherine, Maypen, Clarendon, Crooked River, Clarendon, Hindstown, St. Anne, upstate New York, New York City. Come on in, ladies and gentlemen. I feel like preaching tonight. East Portland, none such East Portland. Come on in. Kitchener, Ontario, Canada. Mighty God, Islington, St. Mary. If you can't take the heat, come out of the kitchen. Liverpool, East Portland, Kingston 20 in the house. Lynchstead, come on in. Great Pond, Ochoria, St. Anne. Mighty God, like up the life. I feel good tonight. New Jersey, Rosedale, Queens, New York, Arsenal. What about Arsenal? Congratulations to Arsenal, them finally win. Come on in, ladies and gentlemen. Queens, New York. Big up everybody over by Queens. Islington, St. Mary. Come on in, ladies and gentlemen. Brooklyn, New York. Springfield. Blessings. I feel good tonight. Kingston is in the Mrs. Right. You're on the right program tonight. Bless you, everybody. This is The Perspective and I'm your host, Perry Cummings Jr. Well, we have quite a lot to discuss tonight. And I'm going to just get right into it, Let me start with the police again. Let's start with the police. Because, I think these people are playing in our faces. Tampa, Florida, blessings to you. These people, they continue to play in our faces. 2 men killed in alleged shootout with police in St. Catherine. This is nothing new. Thank you for reminding me about the signatures. Send me, I need to pin the link. Somebody send me the petition. I hear labor rights talking about no petition can get rid of Prime Minister. So why not running out and discouraging people from signing it? If the petition can't bring a change to Jamaica, if the petition cannot attract international intervention, why is it that the JLP bloggers are trying to prevent the people or discouraging the people from signing the petition? If the petition will bring us nowhere, why are you trying to discourage people from signing the petition? Clearly, something is on the horizon. Bear Road, Westmoreland. I'm going to talk about the power of petitions. I want to educate the labor ranks and the labor dunces. Don't worry yourself. We will know about the power of petitions and the power of the people in a healthy democracy. We will get there. Somebody's going to send me the link and we'll pin it on the screen as per usual. Blessings to those in Portmore. But again, we're hearing of another police shootout, ladies and gentlemen. Again, I ask, where are they? Thank you, Gisetta. Thank you, Headley, for the link. Let me pin this. You know, my regular question is, where are the body-worn cameras? But that has become a scratched record. We know they're not going to have body-worn cameras, ladies and gentlemen. It doesn't serve the interest of some of these corrupt police officers to wear body-worn cameras. Yes? We know serve them. Serve them. Send it over, Sister Stedman. I don't think all of it's saying good. It should be Jamaica demands. Send it again. We know they're not going to wear body-worn cameras. They're not going to wear them because they have to hide their corruption. But what I found very interesting was Blake, Commissioner Blake, and his defense, talking about the split-second police decisions amid the public outcry. He seems to be defending the police officers, and I want you to see just how dangerous Jamaica has become under the leadership of the Jamaica Labour Party. We're going to discuss it all, ladies and gentlemen. Hear what Dr. Blake had to say. Cops faced with making split-second decisions in highly charged incidents have been urged by Jamaica's police chief to show emotional maturity, become deliberate thinkers, and act professionally. Further, Police Commissioner Dr. Kevin Blake has urged the men and women under his command not to be daunted by criticisms and the psychological burden of decisions they are required to make in fractions of seconds on a roadside, in a volatile and hostile crowd, during a domestic dispute, or in the face of imminent danger. You hear this, ladies and gentlemen? He's saying that the police officers should not be perturbed by the criticism coming from the public. Thank you, Gisetta. This is a better one. He's telling the police officers, don't pay the people them the mind. Fret not, because I understand that you're under pressure when you are out on our roads. You are under pressure. All of a sudden, the citizens are the villains. This is what the police commissioner is painting the image to be. As if we, the civilians, are the victims. Blessings to those in Duane Park. We are the victims, the villains, ladies and gentlemen. And the police officers are the victims. You see the psychological warfare that Jamaica is under? You see the narcissistic tendencies coming from the police force under the Andrew Holness led administration? Blake delivered his message in the weekly force orders circulated on the weekend to all members of the Jamaica Constabulary Force, noting that he wanted to discuss the topic of decision making because it bears significant relevance to recent occurrences that risk eroding the trust and confidence of those who we serve. You hear this? The message came days after the caught on video shooting death of 45-year-old Latoya Bulgin, also called Buju, inside her motor vehicle by a policeman in Granville, St. James on May 17, ignited a firestorm of public criticisms. The policeman has not been charged with any crime. Lord God Almighty, Father help me. The policeman has not been charged with any crime, but has been suspended from duty pending an investigation that may never come. He's not charged with any crime, but he has been merely suspended, probably with pay, waiting for an investigation that may never come, ladies and gentlemen. I want you to listen to this. Blake said that he understood that the psychological burden of difficult decisions can weigh heavily on cops long after an incident has ended, noting that sometimes the hardest part of policing is not the moment itself, but the lingering question afterwards. Could I have done something differently? The level of reflection is human and healthy, but let it drive growth, not self-destruction. We do not improve by fearing decisions, but instead by learning from them, he wrote in his weekly column, Commissioner's Corner. I therefore encourage every one of you to become a deliberate thinker, reflect honestly on mistakes, exercise restraint where restraint is required, and courage where courage is demanded. Sound decision making is developed through discipline, integrity, humility, and continuous learning. Some things that he has just mentioned, it's nothing that we're seeing from the JCF, neither from the Andrew Holness administration. The police commissioner, ladies and gentlemen, is justifying what happened in Granville in a very subtle and deceitful way. He's not necessarily calling out or condemning what happened in Granville. I wonder if you realize. He's not calling out directly what happened in Granville. He's merely trying to make people feel good because pressure is reaching the JCF. That, for me, ladies and gentlemen, is very concerning, because bulging is one of 20 people killed by the security forces so far in this month alone. We're at the 26th day of the month, and 20 people have been killed by the police forces for May alone, according to statistics published by the Independent Commission of Investigations. A total of 135 police fatal shootings were recorded between January and May 25 this year, the Indicom data revealed. Nobody worn cameras were issued to or worn by the 3 cops who were conducting crowd control duties at the time Bulgin was killed, the oversight body disclosed. According to reports, Bulgin got into an altercation with police personnel who were monitoring a protest in the community over the police killing of a 17-year-old 1 week earlier. Video footage of the interaction showed Bulgin, who was in the vehicle, attempting to drive off, after which the policeman discharged his firearm. But guess what, ladies and gentlemen? Persons are telling me that the drive-off, Bulgin vehicle drive-off, was not necessarily to get away from the police officers. I believe the vehicle automatically moved off because of how Bulgin was operating the motor vehicle. I'm getting to understand that there wasn't an attempt to drive off because the vehicle stopped. If she wanted to drive away, ladies and gentlemen, she would have driven off. So many, ladies and gentlemen, so many of our Jamaican citizens, they are dying at the hand of the police force, and absolutely nothing is being done about it. I want to say this to the Commissioner of Police. If you are unwilling to come out and condemn this senseless killing of the JCF, the war being waged against the people of this country, you too need to step aside. It cannot be you're going to now baby up the JCF, pat them on the back and say, oh, hush, it is all right. 20 people killed by the police officers, nobody on cameras, no accountability. We don't know if the allegations are true of shootout or whatnot. And the only thing you can do is to baby up the JCF. Over 100 people murdered by the police force. Nobody on cameras, no nothing. All we can hear about is interdiction. We are not even sure if these investigations will happen, because corruption is running so deep in this country. Maybe Indicom too is slacking. All I see Indicom doing is reporting statistics and making probes. And all the Commissioner of Police can do, ladies and gentlemen, is to come out and baby up the JCF. But this type of behavior, ladies and gentlemen, it is coming from a place. And I want you to look at the arrogance of the Jamaica Labour Party. The arrogance of the Prime Minister. The arrogance of the JLP administration. It is a disgrace, ladies and gentlemen. So the Prime Minister came out to address the criticisms regarding the donation funds. Listen to this, ladies and gentlemen.
Brought to you by...
With Sagicor Life, you have access to affordable life, critical illness, hospital indemnity, and health insurance. Coverage for all. Care for you.
Welcome back to Primetime News, and a special welcome to viewers on OneSpotMedia.com as well as TVJ International in the Cayman Islands. The government is being strategic. That defense from Prime Minister Dr. Andrew Holness this evening amidst public backlash over news that his administration is yet to spend over $1 billion in hurricane relief funds. The Prime Minister also announced that the money will be used to buy prefabricated containers for those left homeless by the storm. He was speaking today at a National Labor Day project in St. Elizabeth. Jamila Maitland reports.
The Auditor General come out and said, well, the money is there, but they didn't spend it fast enough. You see the context now? The money was stolen. The money is there.
Prime Minister Dr. Andrew Holness at the Lewistown Early Childhood Institution in St. Elizabeth, one of the National Labor Day projects. But he also labored on another issue, the $1.4 billion in relief funds donated for victims of Hurricane Melissa. Dr. Holness says the funds will be used to help those left homeless by the hurricane.
The government of China has given us some. The Ministry of Housing has purchased some, and I believe it's the Red Cross that is giving us some as well. So we may get up to about 3,000 units, these modular units. And we are building a small community in Westmoreland to facilitate those persons who were being housed at the Petersfield shelter.
2,500 prefabricated container homes will be purchased. He says 900 of them are already in Jamaica and many beneficiaries have already been selected. In defending his government's management of relief efforts, Dr. Holness outlined the strategy.
So the funding that is donated will be used to support the establishment of the bases. Because the people who are going to get them, can they build the base themselves? No. So isn't that the best use of the money? Yes. That it is there will last them for 10, 15 years, other than to just go spend it out and then you don't know where it went or what benefit it gave.
Being strategic.
Think, Jamaica, think.
But according to the Auditor General's report, there was no expenditure, drafted or otherwise provided, for what the government planned to do with the money. At least none that was provided to the auditing team at the time in February 2026. Dr. Holness now says the audit was done before a decision was made.
So when this audit came out, they had already taken that decision, but the performance audit, the real-time audit, didn't take the policy directive that was given into account. It just made a statement which you all took. Government wasn't being inefficient. The government was being very strategic and very efficient.
The Prime Minister was unable to say when the new homes will be ready, adding that it will take some time. The 2026 Atlantic hurricane season begins in a few days on June 1. Jamila Maitland, TVJ News.
The arrogance of the Prime Minister, ladies and gentlemen, is definitely concerning. You see, in a democracy, Mr. Holness, you will have to face criticism. It's not for you to condescendingly speak to the people of this country in a way as if the outcry is not warranted. You hear how he referenced the Auditor General as if the Auditor General is being mischievous, or the Auditor General is just reporting something that is abstract and irrelevant. You heard how, and this is the reason why the entire Jamaica Labour Party and the followers of the Jamaica Labour Party, this is why they speak down to the office of the Auditor General and seem to rubbish and undermine the Auditor General reports, because it is coming from the head, as if the Auditor General reports are not valid and they are not correct. Let us dive deeper into the arrogance. And this is why I am so concerned about the state of my country. And we're going to pick up let us get into this, and we'll take a break in the next 10 minutes or so. Prime Minister Andrew Holness has pushed back against mounting criticism over more than $1 billion in hurricane donations that remained largely unspent months after Hurricane Melissa, accusing critics of promoting what he described as common sense while ignoring the broader scale of the government's recovery effort. Can you imagine? This is him talking. Sometimes you have things that are common sense, and sometimes you have things that are common sense. He said on Monday at the Lewistown Early Childhood Institution in St. Elizabeth, as one of two Labour Day national projects unfolded. I don't know what the Prime Minister is suggesting by saying this, but Mr. Prime Minister, we're looking for common sense in the JLP, and we've found none.
Fully done.
We've found none, Mr. Prime Minister. A real-time audit by the Auditor General's Department have found that only 26.2 million of the 1.44 billion in cash donations in the wake of the Category 5 hurricane had been spent up to April. The report also noted that funds donated after Hurricane Beryl in July 2024 also remained unspent. He mentioned nothing about the Hurricane Beryl funds, ladies and gentlemen. You realize? He mentioned nothing. Who was the Prime Minister when Hurricane Beryl came to Jamaica? Who was the Prime Minister. Huh? You realize he didn't mention anything about the hurricane burial funds. But we're not going to stop applying the pressure. You are held to the office of the Prime Minister, and that comes with a standard, sir, even if you fail to acknowledge that standard. And we're not going to ease up. You don't come out and address nothing about the hurricane burial funds, trying to deflect and talking about common sense. He said not everything that appears urgent is wise, and not everything that is wise appears immediately. So I want you to ruminate on that. The obvious can mislead, and wisdom requires deeper judgment, the Prime Minister said on Monday. He said the controversy had become one of the fiercest political attacks facing his administration, disclosing that even people who supported the government were struggling to defend it. How we are talking about? Senator Morgan. Oh, because Senator Morgan exposed their administration, saying that the conversation could have easily been one about missing funds, mismanaged funds, misappropriation of funds. Oh!
And if the enemy are fire, you can't stand up like stooge. You can't go on like a fool. You have to fire back. Somebody load up and say, pop, 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 pop. Lord God, badam, bam, bam, bam. Jesus Christ, what is what pop, 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 pop. Jesus Christ, war tonight, Bishop. Warfare tonight. Warfare. Badam, bam, bam, bam. Boom, boom.
Oh, Mr. Prime Minister, una tell Senator Morgan to go hold a seat. Well, in his case, he would have to hold several seats. But what you say, Mr. Prime Minister? You said that even people who supported the government were struggling to defend it? I understand. But this wasn't a political attack, Mr. Prime Minister. This wasn't a political attack. Because it wasn't the opposition alone that had a... And you see, this is the deception from the Jamaica Labour Party administration. Please to like the live, ladies and gentlemen. The aim is 500 likes every live. It wasn't a political attack. Stop trying to make this a political conversation. And this is the deflection that I am talking about. Somebody said that a word from Senator Morgan. He did a terrible job. It's not a political the average Jamaican, ladies and gentlemen, who remembered where almost every TikToker was talking about it. The influencers were talking about it. YouTube was blowing up because after such a terrible hurricane, a category 5 hurricane, the government of today, the government today, ladies and gentlemen, after so many months, only spent 1.8% of the hurricane funds without no transparency. If it wasn't for the Auditor General's report, we wouldn't have known anything how the hurricane money go from as far back as 2024. A shame, you shame, Mr. Prime Minister. A shame, you shame. Call it for what it is. A shame, you shame. Talking about one of the fiercest political attacks against your administration. You think anybody has the time to be playing politics? He said, I started there because I received a note from an elderly lady from this constituency who said Prime Minister, you have to address this issue because I can't explain it to the people in my community why the government got 1.4 billion and never spent it. It's the hottest thing on the ground in terms of criticism of the government. Mr. Prime Minister, people ever email you and a message you in before you come out and talk? Why is it that, I don't know, are you telling a lie? But every minute somebody has to be emailing you or messaging you for you to come out and say something. Which lady message you from constituency and talk about them don't know how to defend you? What is this man talking about? Additional concerns raised in the audit included the absence of formal agreements governing the retention of donated funds and insufficient documentation for roofing supplies distributed under the government's roofs program. But Holness insisted the criticism ignored the wider context of the government's hurricane response, which he said would ultimately cost taxpayers roughly $67 billion. The government is projected to spend $67 billion on hurricane relief and recovery, the Prime Minister said, while urging Jamaicans to think through the process. Is this what the Prime Minister is saying? According to Holness, one of the most strategic decisions involved providing financial support to the Jamaica Public Service Company to speed up the restoration of electricity. You hear the deflection? We are talking about the hurricane cash donations, you know. And you hear where the Prime Minister gone? Him gone over JPS. A large part of that would be the loan that we gave to the JPS so that you could have gotten back electricity faster than ever before in the history of restoration after any disaster in Jamaica. Can you imagine? He said of the 67 billion being spent directly for the country's 2026-2027 fiscal budget. That was a strategic decision. It was highly criticized. Why is the government lending money to JPS? But the recovery was quick. Water and electricity came back very quickly. Oh, really? We thought deeply about it. We looked at the ramifications and we took some good decisions. This man, my God, Holness said the administration had already deployed approximately 10 billion through the roofs program, benefiting close to 50,000 Jamaicans. Ladies and gentlemen, can you listen and can you really hear the nonsense? This man is trying to deflect. He's trying to deflect so much. Listen, ladies and gentlemen.
Now, to deal with something that I know you want to hear about. The government promised that we will bring in, we made a promise of about 2,500 modular, semi-permanent, prefabricated housing solutions through the NHP. Those took time to manufacture and to ship and to clear. It took, I would say, about 3 to 4 months from the time we procured and placed the order to here. The government of China has given us some, the Ministry of Housing has purchased some, and I believe it's the Red Cross that is giving us some as well. So we may get up to about 3,000 units, these modular units. And we are building a small community in Westmoreland to facilitate those persons who were being housed at the Petersfield shelter. So we have the units here now. But again, I want you to think with me, Jamaica. My government is not just going to take the units and come and plop them down anywhere. That wouldn't help. We're not going to do that. Whatever units we put down, they must be on a proper base. Because if you put them down on anything that is not firm and flat, they will warp, defects, and all of that. So we're going to have to build a proper base for them, a concrete base. What about sewage? You think we're just going to give it to you and lead us up?
So, Mr. Prime Minister, you're talking about sewage and all of those. Why is it that these things weren't implemented? You're telling me it took you months for you to prepare the ground if you really had intentions of providing the homes for these people? If you really wanted to give the houses to the people, why wouldn't you prepare the sewage infrastructure? All of the things that you're talking about now, the tanks and all of that, 7 months after the hurricane, and you're just having a conversation about sewage? You are just having this conversation when the hurricane season is what? Next week? This week? It start? This has to be one of the most deceitful government I have ever seen. The deception, ladies and gentlemen, it is so toxic. Listen to this nonsense.
We have to make some arrangement for the disposal of sewage. We might have to give a little water tank on top of it too, or beside it. You don't think so? Yes. And so to put all of that together, you're looking at a median cost, meaning an average cost of about 500,000. Depending on where it is, it could be less, it could be more. Now, I want you to stop and think again. If it is not a community we're building and we're going to give one here and one over so and one way up so and one in the next part, how are they going to get there? These huge containers. They have to be transported on specific kind of vehicles and they have to be lifted by crane. So it's not something that you can just do overnight. It has to be planned out. So the funding that is donated will be used to support the establishment of the bases. Because the people who are going to get them, can they build the base themselves? So isn't that the best use of the money? That it is there will last them for 10, 15 years, other than to just go spend it out and then you don't know where it went or what benefit it gave. Think, Jamaica, think. Don't be misled by people who are just seeking political power.
That is what the Jamaica Labour Party continues to do. Every time people hold the government accountable and they recognize that they are cornered, they go and point fingers at the PNP. Mr. Holness, you are a liar, because this conversation, it wasn't just the opposition that had a problem with how the donation monies were spent or the lack of spending. The entire Jamaica was outraged because of the lack of spending. The Auditor General report sparked a conversation on social media that we've not seen in a long time. Because after so many months since the hurricane, only 1.8, I saw one class, I saw so many TikTokers running. This wasn't a political attack. You're trying to make this conversation a political one, and we're not going to sit by and allow you to do it. Because this is what the JLP continues to do. When they are being criticized by the masses, they try to communicate to people that it is the PNP that is causing the uproar and it is a PNP that is having a problem with it. It's not the opposition or the PNP alone that showed concerns about the lack of spending. Stop trying to manipulate the conversation. Stop trying to deflect from the truth. The money belongs to disaster victims. Didn't I came here some nights ago? I went over to the office of the Prime Minister's website. Every cash donation given in an attempt to relieve the people who were victims of a disaster, those funds belong to them. The money don't belong to you, Prime Minister. And that is from your office. So how are you talking as if the people don't have a say as to how the money should be distributed or used? I find it very interesting. Very interesting.
Think. No. We are going to begin that shortly. We have 900 units in the island. And we have gone through, we have found the people who their houses were totally destroyed, they don't have anywhere to live, and they don't have the income to rebuild. We're going to rebuild them and give them those houses.
Ladies and gentlemen, we have to expose the statics that the Jamaica Labour Party continues to implement. They make these grand statements and they go out and they try and mislead the people. The bottom line is, ladies and gentlemen, there's absolutely no way, there's absolutely no reason for the Prime Minister to expect us as well-thinking Jamaicans to sit by and believe that the Prime Minister had intentions of spending the cash donations after having the cash donations sitting down in his office. All of a sudden, just because the Auditor General exposed his administration, all of a sudden we are here about this was the intention, this was the this, and this was the intended use, and all of that. All of a sudden, 7 months, and you want to convince us that you did a good job with recovery? 7 months. 7 months. Not one home from you. You're telling me that it had to take 7 months for you to find a purpose for the cash donations? Let's take a break. When we come back, we're gonna touch on some more things. I tell you. Where you
are with the JLP are going with Perspective family. Pick up yourself, blood and fire comrades. I is asking for a change. We have to mash down Babylon, time come now. Andrew them a wrap up the money like wow. Them turn taxpayers in a big cash cow. The people them work for nothing big fiasco. Time come for people fi start unite. Time come fi protect the human rights. Time come JLP no have no plan. The plan is to kill, destroy, steal and rob. The devil is loose, my friend, and he loves the color green. Hey, yeah. Don't be blind, my friend.
Pre's Petty and Hair Care Mobile Services, where we provide gel, male and kids pedicure. We also offer locks, kids and natural hairstyling services right in the convenience of your own home. For appointments, please contact us at 1-876-507-7484. Remember, we'll take care of you, not only the crown of your head, but also the soles of your feet.
and Pearl Therapy, we are here to help you to bring ultimate relaxation to your feet. Our hot stone, Swedish, and deep tissue massage services are here to help you to get rid of tensions, minor swellings, and aches and pain, increase flexibility and circulation. If you are having any heart or circulatory diseases, then this might not be for you. Reach out to us and let's see if you can secure yourself with a foot massage for as low as $4,500. Thank you for choosing Pearl Therapy, the healing hub.
Are you frustrated with your skincare? Are you tired of acne, blemishes, scars, sagging skin, wrinkles, discoloration? Why not enjoy our wide array of products, from skin, hair, and personal care? Place your frustration on our shoulders, and we will get you smiling again. The power of our products are in our formulation and ingredients. Listen to our customer testimonial. This is what she has to say.
Oh my gosh, look at my face. I've been using these products for a year, exactly 1 year. If you have not tried them, you need to try them. They really work. Look at my skin.
Visit our website or contact us at 917-557-6204. Make it Tony and Organics and order yours today.
Food is designed to be felt, not just tasted. Soft warmth, gentle richness, a harmony that melts effortlessly on the tongue. At Cummings Exquisite Caterers, every dish is an invitation, guided by passion, finished with elegance. We cater for life's most meaningful moments, elegant weddings, private celebrations, and much more. With a serene repast center just 10 minutes away from 2 major cemeteries. We are located at 38 Joe Blaine Spanish Town Road. Reach out to us, 876-573-9124.
Cummings Exquisite Caterers, where Our first social media question tonight comes from Instagram. Shania in Kingston, she says, low voter turnout suppresses the effectiveness of a democratic society. Many Jamaicans refuse to vote because they believe both parties are corrupt. What would you say to the significant population of non-voters? And if elected, how will you hold politicians accountable for offenses against the people instead of protecting them?
So in this instance, the question, you have 90 seconds to answer, and we begin with Dr. Holness.
Corruption is a serious problem in our country, and corruption requires strong leadership. From my position as Prime Minister, I have taken action against any member of my political party that has been involved or accused of anything that suggests corruption. In my own case, I have been investigated for a year with an expert forensic auditor. The findings of that report have suggested no corruption. There have been no charges. Every aspect of my report, every aspect of my personal life and my personal financial details are in the public domain. I am the politician about which Jamaica knows the most. And therefore, I am the politician who can stand with the greatest moral authority to treat with any matter that is considered corrupt, as I have done in the past. And I want to give this assurance to the Jamaican people that you know me, you know about me, you can trust me, and you know that I stand against corruption.
Mr. Golding has the opportunity to respond to that social media question as well.
Andrew, what they know about you is that you have 28 bank accounts, that you received several $1 million in cash deposits from anonymous donors in your bank account, that your companies had transactions of over $400 million, several thousand transactions between them, and that Positive Jamaica Foundation, a non-profit which you are intimately connected with, provided resources which you use for personal investments through your personal company. We have signed the Leadership Code of Conduct developed by Integrity Commission. All of our spokespersons and myself have signed. None of your people have signed it. I am committed to ensuring that all members of the executive, when we form government, will have their Integrity Commission declarations published, not just the leader of the opposition and what should happen, but hasn't happened in your case because you're not certified, the Prime Minister. So the whole question that has been asked is an excellent question. And we really need to step up our vigilance against corrupt behavior, nepotism and cronyism. The volume of scandals under this Jamaica Labour Party government is unprecedented. Over the number of ministers who have had to be removed from frontline duty, many of them parked in the naughty corner in OPM rather than being sacked. It is a disgrace to the country, and your personal situation where you're operating under a deep cloud because your Integrity Commission declarations are not certified also is something which Jamaica cannot go forward with.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. This is The Perspective, and I am your host, Perry Cummings Jr. Please remember to like up the live, share the live. If you're watching and you realize that you're unable to participate in the comments section, it's because you are not a subscriber. Now, ladies and gentlemen, the truth is I am a critical thinker and I am able to control my emotions. My heart is clean and I want to make heaven my home. So I don't hate anybody where I cannot hear what they're saying to critique what they're saying. So for those who have a problem with hearing the Prime Minister, I think it is wise for us as critical thinkers to put feelings aside, listen to what somebody is saying, and then you pick apart what they're saying. So for those who are asking me why I'm playing the Prime Minister, is because he is the Prime Minister and he is saying what he's saying, and we have to hear what he has to say to critique what he's saying, to further expose the lies or the inaccuracies in his statement. We are mature people, so we have to behave as such. On that note, we had 2 Labor Day messages, one from the leader of the opposition and the other from the Prime Minister. I believe in saving the best for last, which would be Mr. Mark Golding. So we again we will hear what the Prime Minister said yesterday and the blatant hypocrisy in his speech. I found it very disturbing. Very disturbing that the Prime Minister of this country, who is the reason why Jamaica has not yet recovered from Hurricane Melissa, is now asking us to do what? It's a disgrace. I cannot understand how the reason for the problem is now highlighting the problem. You are the reason for the problem. Something else that I wanted to point out before we took the break. The truth is, ladies and gentlemen, the whole recovery process since Hurricane Melissa is a political agenda by the Jamaica Labour Party. The reason, and I said this before, the reason why the houses are not being distributed as quickly as they should have been and could have been distributed, it is because there is a political agenda behind it. Local elections, they are coming up. And they want to use the housing as leverage to buy in people, to grow the JLP's hand in Jamaica. So the reason why he's moving people from their current locations to create this community, I am telling you that the community is either going to be one out of 2 things. Either it is going to be a community filled with labor rights, or it is going to be a community that only labor rights can live in. So anyway I take it, ladies and gentlemen, it is a JLP operation, highly politicized, and persons have to open their eyes to recognize that this JLP government will never give out houses to PNP. Never! They have to secure the votes, Donna Thompson. I tell people, you know, that this is one of the reasons why if we don't wake up, you know, I tell persons long time that the Prime Minister, he has started to campaign long time, and he's weaponizing the recovery effort against the people of this country. It is all about winning the next election for this Prime Minister. By any means, ladies and gentlemen. And if it means politicizing the distribution of homes, they are going to do it, and that is my opinion. I believe, ladies and gentlemen, I believe that the distribution of homes post Hurricane Melissa is going to be a political tool to create another JLP Central. You think no comrades can look for get no house? Una go get a rude awakening. Listen to the hypocrisy. Gonna pick it apart. Listen to this.
My fellow Jamaicans, Labor Day calls on us to do a simple yet powerful act, to step forward in service to our country, our community, and one another. It reminds us that nation building is not solely the work of government, nor only of those formerly entrusted with leadership. It is the responsibility of every citizen. Through the work of our hands, the discipline of our minds, and the generosity of our hearts, we will build Jamaica. This year, that call carries special urgency. Hurricane Melissa left deep scars across our nation. While many communities, businesses, and families have recovered to varying degrees, there are still households.
Mr. Prime Minister, who recovered from Hurricane Melissa? What do you mean by many businesses have recovered? Who has recovered from Hurricane Melissa? When people have not recovered from Hurricane Beryl? Who recovered? Who recovered? No, Mr. Prime Minister, stop right there. Stop right there, sir. I don't want another word as yet. Who recovered from Hurricane Melissa? And what have you done to help in this recovery? Oh Lord God. Hold on.
Without proper shelter, social amenities, and stable livelihoods. To those Jamaicans still struggling, I want you to know this. You are not forgotten. Your government has already committed more than $67 billion towards relief and recovery efforts. Of that amount, $10 billion has been allocated to the Roofs program to support assessed households with grants to restore damaged roofs and undertake essential home repairs. Schools and households are being repaired. We supported JPS through a strategic loan to accelerate the restoration of electricity island-wide. We executed one of the largest debris removal operations in our history across the affected parishes. through the National Housing Trust, the Ministry of Housing, and with support from the government of China, more than 2,700 semi-permanent modular housing units have been secured to assist Jamaicans who have been assessed as having totally lost their homes and who are unable to rebuild immediately. These units require reinforced concrete bases before installation. As I said in early December last year, funds donated towards hurricane recovery would be used for practical, lasting, and measurable recovery efforts. Of the $1.4 billion donated, $600 million, almost half, will go towards constructing the foundations required to begin installing the first 900 pre-built units, which have now arrived in Jamaica. The remaining funds will be used to purchase roofing materials to replenish stocks and strengthen the ongoing government-led roof repair program. Our commitment is simple: to use donated funds in ways that are tangible, resilient, accountable, and traceable. We will not spend recklessly. We will not be profligate. We will spend responsibly and strategically. Roofs repaired, foundation built, homes repaired, these are visible and undeniable signs that resources are being used wisely and honestly. And as more accurate damage data and needs assessment become available, the government stands prepared to make further investments to support affected households. Yet, beyond public expenditure, we cannot place a dollar value on the volunteer effort, sacrifice, and goodwill shown by Jamaicans at home and friends across the world. In the aftermath of Hurricane Melissa, we saw neighbors helping neighbors, communities lifting up each other, and strangers stepping forward to help strangers. That is the spirit of service, sacrifice, and solidarity.
Ladies and gentlemen, if it wasn't for the people last year, the bloggers, the different content creators, the TikTokers, if it wasn't for the dancehall artists, if it wasn't, ladies and gentlemen, for the different donation organizations and charitable groups, if it wasn't for them, ladies and gentlemen, a lot more people would have been dead because of this government. You sat down there and did absolutely nothing. What are you coming now to say? If it wasn't for the family members overseas, you know how much people donation are rotten down at the wharf? Up to now, a lot of aid, the aid has not reached the people in this country because there's no logistics from this government. So what is the substance of your message? When it is the lack of leadership and the laziness from this government that has plunged Jamaica into the conundrum that you're experiencing today. Huh?
That is the true meaning of Labor Day. So this Labor Day, I encourage every Jamaican to see himself or herself as part of our national reconstruction effort. We are not merely replacing what was lost. We are rebuilding better, safer, stronger, and smarter. This is our opportunity to correct old weaknesses, reduce future risks, and create communities that are more resilient to storms and other shocks that may come. We may not rebuild Jamaica in a single day, but we can each do something meaningful. We can repair a leaking classroom at the community basic school. We can replace a broken window at the clinic. We can clear overgrown areas at the community center. We can clean our front yard, gateways, drains, and sidewalks. Small acts, multiplied pride across the nation creates powerful change. In just a few days, the 2026 hurricane season will be upon us. By now, every Jamaican should fully understand the importance of preparation. Use this Labor Day to inspect your home and surroundings. Identify threats to your property, community, infrastructure, and personal safety. Check your emergency supplies. Service and refuel your generators. Inspect your roof and make the repairs you can afford. Trim trees that threaten your home. Clear blocked drains and
Ladies and gentlemen, probably is a sign because the video stopped play. Hold on.
Culverts near your property. Let this Labor Day be the beginning of your hurricane preparedness. But beyond physical rebuilding, Labor Day must remind us of a deeper national duty. Jamaica must become more productive, disciplined, and efficient as a nation. Productivity determines how quickly we increase our output. Efficiency determines how wisely we use our resources.
Ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to play Mark Golding's one. I don't think I can sit through the entire thing here. You know, it's lacking. I can't listen to it. Let's go to Mark Golding. Let's go to Mark Jefferson Golding. I can't sit. I thought I could have been. I really thought I could sit through it. I don't think I can. It's nonsense. I can't be. Let's hear Mark Golding, comrade leader, leader of the opposition, president of the People's National Party, his Labor Day message.
Each year, we come together on Labor Day to honor the dignity of work, the resilience of our people, and the enduring spirit that has always defined us as Jamaican people. Labor Day is deeply rooted in our history. It takes us back to 1938, when ordinary men and women across Jamaica rose up against injustice, demanding fair wages, better working conditions, and dignity as Jamaicans. Those events transformed our country, strengthened the voice of the working class, giving impetus to political organization, and setting Jamaica on the path towards self-government and political independence. Over the years, Labor Day has evolved into a day both of remembrance and of putting words into action. It is a reminder that when we invest our time and our effort and our care into our communities, we're ultimately investing in ourselves. The community of action for the land that sustains us strengthens the very foundation on which our nation stands. In more practical terms, it is about stepping out in our communities, rolling up our sleeves, and putting in some voluntary work to make things around us a bit better. This year, the theme for Labor Day is One People, One Purpose. In all things, Jamaica wins. That theme is a powerful reminder that our greatest achievements as a nation have always come when we stand together, united in purpose, committed to progress, and determined to bring a better future for all, with no one being left behind. Across this land today, Jamaicans will gather to clean, to paint, to build, to repair, and generally to uplift their surroundings. In doing so, we demonstrate that nation building is not the responsibility of the state alone. It is a shared duty and the mission of all of us. As we commemorate Labor Day, we must also speak honestly about the present moment. Across our country, too many hard-working Jamaicans are feeling the strain. Many families still have not recovered from last October's terrible hurricane. Many are still living under leaky blue tarpaulins, and each shower of rain is a torment for them. With war and international aggression far and near, the rising cost of living is a heavy burden on families. Many workers are struggling to make ends meet. Young people, educated and ambitious, are searching for meaningful opportunities to thrive here at home rather than abroad, but are too often left disappointed. Labor Day demands reflection and action. We must ask ourselves this important question: are we doing enough to ensure that work truly provides dignity, stability, and a pathway to a better life? As leader of the opposition, I stand with the Jamaican workers. I acknowledge your efforts, your sacrifices, and your contributions to this nation. Whether you're a nurse helping our healthcare system to keep going, a teacher shaping our future, a police officer serving and protecting us all, a farmer feeding the nation, a factory worker on the production line, a hotel worker helping to build brand Jamaica, a taxi driver, a marketer, street vendor, or other small business owner, you are the backbone of this country. Your voices must be heard more clearly in shaping our national priorities. We will continue to advocate for policies that inspire a more equitable society and build the social cohesion that sustains national development. Labor Day reminds us that in Jamaica, progress has never come from silence, complacency, or inaction. It has always come from engagement, from dialogue, and from action driven by the collective will of the people. Today, as we take part in community projects across this land, let us remember that our small acts of community service reflect a much larger truth. If history has taught us anything from 1938 to today, it is that when Jamaicans stand together, we can overcome any challenge. When we work together, when we care for each other, when we respect the value of each other's contributions, and when we act with collective purpose, we strengthen our communities and we build a greater nation. The journey ahead is not easy and will require great effort, integrity, and unity. So on this Labor Day 2026, let us recommit ourselves to that shared purpose. Let us embrace the spirit of one people, one purpose, knowing that when we act together in the interest of our country, in all things, Jamaica wins. Happy Labor Day. May God continue to bless you, and may God bless Jamaica, land we love.
Ladies and gentlemen, if I say that Mark Golding's speech is the better of the two, am I being biased? I maybe, but Mark Golding's speech was concise. It started with history. It went into this shared responsibility. It highlighted certain realities, but it didn't even come off as political. You heard a statesman. You heard a statesman from Mark Golding. What I heard, and that's why I have to listen to what Holness is saying so I can critique him. What I heard from the Prime Minister was a PR campaign that he is going to use to try and swing votes for the next election. Coming with shovel in him hand. Hold on, Murray calling. Murray calling. Turn me down, Murray, and go ahead.
Yeah, I just did, Brother P.
Yes.
Brother P. See, You hit the nail. Mark Golding went back to the genesis of Labor Day, the 1938 riots. You understand me? When I was a kid, you see, Brother P, Labor Day, before Joshua, Michael Manley brought in the work thing, it was a political thing where, you know, people came out and like a day of drinking and stuff like that. And it was in 1972 when the most honorable Michael Joshua Manley said, let's put work into Labor Day and change the whole focus of Labor Day. You understand me? And that is a legacy building. You see what I'm talking about, Brother P? This is people that has thinking. So all the late, I don't know what Andrew tried build. His things are just vanity projects. You understand me? You see what Mark said? You put people into it because Labor Day is about people. You see what I'm talking about?
Yes.
You know, you showcase big building and all of that. Labor Day is community building where little man go down in basic school, or you fix up the police station, or even for the people fix up them church or whatever. So Mark J, spot on. This is what I'm talking about. When you say 1 p.m. stand for again, brother.
One problem, man.
Yes, I wanted to remember that. You know, one Mark J, the man with a vision. This is what I'm talking about, a visionary. And I want to leave you with this. A statesman think about the next generation, but a politician only thinks about the next election. And that's what I think about, because I campaign thing him depend. And you see, all the money and the container houses, you know, because Andrew plan to build a little garrison down in Westmoreland, you know.
Yes.
Election purposes, you know. And that's him a plan for the, you talk about base and all of that. When does it take 3 months to build a little base for drop a container house? It's like a garrison thing. And next Tivoli man care about Westmoreland to make problem down there. And that's him a plan. Him not plan nothing else. Watch and say over get them house there. Alright, Brother P, because later somebody's gonna want to talk.
Yes.
But one Mark G, and we don't want no one problem man round here. Alright.
Alright, blessings. Yes, man. Ladies and gentlemen, 1 p.m. stands for one problem, man. One problem, man. I find it very interesting that in a time where we need solidarity, unity, and you know, a refreshing when it comes to our governance, the very the Andrew Holness administration is the one that is the one playing politics. It's as if they're still campaigning. That was a campaign message from the Prime Minister. That was a campaign message from the Prime Minister. Always campaigning, Shanika. And I'm telling you, watch out for those houses. Watch out for how those houses will be used as a political tool. Be very careful, ladies and gentlemen. Be very careful. You know, I started to do a deep dive in the history of the JLP. And before I go, I won't be here for too long. But it is very interesting that we go over the reasons why the Prime Minister failed where the recovery from Hurricane Melissa is concerned. And I'm not here just talking my opinion. I'm talking about the facts. I'm going to talk about the facts here. A recent Auditor General's report revealed that out of the 1.44 billion in cash donations, only about 1.8%, 26 million, had been spent. The idle funds left emergency victims and displaced households languishing without basic repairs or necessities. Mr. Prime Minister, you're the reason why a lot of Jamaicans are still suffering. And I want you to remember that. I want you to remember that. You are the reason why so many Jamaicans feel hopeless today. Auditors highlighted weak internal controls, funds being inexplicably held by financial institutions, and a lack of expenditure plans within the Office of Disaster Preparedness and Emergency Management, ODPEM. When you talk about the sluggish shelter and housing report, despite Prime Minister Andrew Holness pledging housing aid, many residents, especially in severely impacted areas like Westmoreland, St. Elizabeth, and even Manchester, complained that the roofs program and the modular home deliveries were too slow and inconsistent. Opposition leaders like Mark Golding have criticized the government for their ineptitude and poor on-the-ground management. We've heard about the lack of assessments, ladies and gentlemen, citing that even the establishment of the NARA failed to immediately alleviate the persistent suffering of affected citizens. This NARA, ladies and gentlemen, that the government would cross hell and all the waters of the earth to pass that bill in Parliament. Not even that NARA seems to be helping anybody. You hear anything about NARA? NARA is not intended to help anybody who was damaged, or their homes that were damaged by Hurricane Melissa. Because if NARA's purpose was to really and truly help the victims of the hurricane, we would have seen NARA helping the victims of the Hurricane Melissa. Can you imagine? The government, though, they try to defend its broader 67 billion recovery effort, pointing to rapid electricity restoration and bulk food or hot meal distribution. But how would they distribute the food, though? Was it the government? Huh? Was it the government, though, ladies and gentlemen? One can't claim distribution of food and hot meal. A certain people did I give out food and hot meal. Not you, Mr. Prime Minister. Certainly not as consistent as other persons. World Kitchen, remember? World Kitchen, remember? Consistently. So I'm trying to understand, what are you people trying to take credit for? The parliamentary opposition highlighted that international donations, including building materials, medical supplies, and perishable food, were left rotting in warehouses and ports. Even today, food are rotten. People don't get it. Mighty God. A complete absence of a coordinated logistics plan or a consistent, streamlined, duty-free protocol meant charitable groups were billed massive demurrage fees for government-induced delays. Even to date, ladies and gentlemen, nobody should be paying a lot of tax when they're donating to the people in this country. That was just a very temporary thing. People still suffering, ladies and gentlemen. And this man is coming with a grand Labor Day speech. Coming with a Labor Day speech, playing politics. While the government claimed that 421 roofs were successfully repaired, auditors noted that basic record keeping was completely missing. How we know see a true attack? Lacking damage assessments. If there is no proper damage assessment, how are we sure that the people who really need the help are getting the help? There is no clear beneficiary selection criteria or completion reports. This just seems as if the Jamaica Labour Party government is just choosing all the JLP people to help and to fix them roof. Be a Labour right roof or get fixed. Be a Labour night roof get fixed. Where are the records? The National Disaster Fund did not have a designated bank account. Instead, catastrophe relief money was mixed directly into a bank in an account holding funds for an emergency communications project funded by the Japan International Cooperation Agency. When they talk about the absent oversight committee, ODPEM failed to submit required financial statements of accounts for the 2023-24 and the 2024-2025 fiscal years because no functioning Natural Disaster Fund committee or chairman was appointed to oversee them. No oversight, no nothing, ladies and gentlemen. Greek Jamaica, the list of recipients from Roofs program missing. Who benefited from the Roofs program? Where are the Lombas from Venezuela? What is the Prime Minister going on about, man? What recovery are you talking about? And then you have the nerve to say that while many businesses making it seem as if Jamaica is in such a good place, I tell you now, be careful of this government. If you listen to this government, ladies and gentlemen, and you don't engage the facts, you would think that Jamaica is A-OK. Because I Show Speed came to Jamaica and buy patty and Jamaican KFC. And he went to Devon House and Emancipation Park. He went to Kingston and St. Andrew, and that is what the world saw. That's what the world saw. But I want to remind you of some very important points that we touched on yesterday on Clarion Call. Because everything that you're seeing now, ladies and gentlemen, is as a result of the history of the JLP, the history of the Jamaica Labour Party, what is rooted deep within their political organization. And I want us to listen. Share the live, like the live, subscribe if you're watching, because I want to go over very important information, so we can understand that the JLP today, them neglecting the poor, looking down on the poor, undermining the NHT, trying to discredit the Auditor General, militarizing Jamaica, mobilizing the JCF to oppress the poor and the working class. This, ladies and gentlemen, is nothing new. So I want us to understand something very important. The Jamaica Labour Party, they have faced historical criticism for its strict alignment with global capitalism, deep structural dependencies on foreign powers, and a failure to fully break from colonial economic models. Despite its Labour name, the party transitioned early in its history into Jamaica's primary pro-business conservative political force, which critics argue has often come at the expense of the working class. The JLP was created, ladies and gentlemen, to benefit the rich and the powerful, the oligarchs and the capitalists, that benefited off the backs of the poor and the working class. Are you ready for another history lesson? All of what you're seeing without the Andrew Holness administration, the Jamaica Labour Party, how they belittle the working class and look down on the poor. They are so hesitant to spend the donation money. They don't want to see to it that those who were so affected by the Hurricane Melissa, there's a reason why they hesitate, ladies and gentlemen. There's a reason why they hesitate to assist those who are affected by the hurricane. Most of who are poor people, the working class. Because most of the rich and the powerful, ladies and gentlemen, a certain place them live. And them house big concrete structures. Be a Kingston and St. Andrew. Most of the politicians, all of them, ladies and gentlemen. I want us to understand where this playbook is coming from. Preserving plantocracy power. In the lead up to and following independence in 1962, the JLP, led by Alexander Bustamante, prioritized stability for the traditional ruling elite and merchant classes rather than radically reshaping the colonial hierarchy. Historically, the JLP leadership maintained strong emotional and structural ties to the British Crown, positioning themselves as a moderate alternative to the more nationalist and anti-colonial People's National Party. It was the PNP that fought against our former colonial rule, while the Jamaica Labour Party embraced them. It was the People's National Party under Norman Manley that fought against our colonial oppressors, while it was the JLP that embraced it. And we see that even today. Under JLP administrations in the 1960s, the state actively suppressed progressive anti-colonial and black power movements. The party banned literature by Malcolm X and Walter Rodney. Who remembered that? They banned Malcolm X books and Walter Rodney. Remember that they even banned Walter Rodney from re-entering Jamaica under Hugh Shearer. Culminating in the 1968 Rodney riots, when the JLP government banned Guyanese scholar Walter Rodney from re-entering to his teaching post at UWI Mona. Remember the history of the Jamaica Labour Party, ladies and gentlemen. Remember. Under Edward Seaga's economic policy, the JLP championed industrialization by invitation. This model relied heavily on attracting foreign capital through tax holidays and cheap local labor, which critics argue turned Jamaica into an economic dependency of the West rather than building self-reliance. The rise of free zones. In the 1980s, the JLP heavily promoted garment and manufacturing free zones. These zones were widely criticized for exploiting working class Jamaican women through low wages, poor working conditions, anti-union restrictions, and a complete lack of labor protections. The JLP led trade liberalization in the 1980s. Allowed heavily subsidized American agricultural goods to flood the Jamaican market, crippling local dairy, onion and potato farmers who could not compete. Aren't we seeing this thing happening today? Look at how our onion farmers are crying. We flood our markets today of American goods and products and restaurants, crippling our local producers. It is the same thing that is happening today. It is the same thing that is happening today. This is the history of the JLP. Following the turbulent democratic socialist era of the 1970s, Edward Seaga realigned Jamaica perfectly with the Washington Consensus, the US Reagan administration and the IMF. Remember this, ladies and gentlemen. To meet strict IMF capitalist metrics, the JLP aggressively cut public spending. Aren't we seeing that today? Huh? This decimated Jamaica's public health, education and social safety nets, plunging thousands of Jamaicans into deep poverty. It is the JLP that destroyed Jamaica's public health. It is the JLP that destroyed education. It is the JLP that encouraged crime and violence. It is the JLP that promoted poverty by cutting public spending. Now spend on the poor people. When the PNP spend on the poor, they say that we are financially irresponsible. They call it fiscal discipline. But they keep the money in ADPEM, not spending on the poor. But what it is doing, it is affecting our social conditions, our health, our education, our social safety, our housing, our infrastructure. That is the reason why our roads are so poor. Our infrastructure is so poor. We have so many inner city communities because this at JLP, once they're in government, they don't want to spend the money on the poor people. Allow me to get through this, ladies and gentlemen. I want persons to understand what we are dealing with. In the late 1970s, the JLP allied closely with Western intelligence agencies such as the US CIA to aggressively fight against the PNP's democratic socialism and ties to Cuba. Critics argue this placed foreign geopolitical interests ahead of Jamaican lives. Aren't we seeing today the same playbook where the JLP continues to fight against PNP ideologies? Because what? It represents the poor. The PNP represents the mobilization of the poor people into prosperity. It is the PNP that championed for poor people to experience prosperity, and JLP take the slogan and run with it. We have to remember these things, ladies and gentlemen. That's the reason why the JLP cut the ties from Cuba and ended the medical program again, damaging health in Jamaica. It started from Edward Seaga time. It started from Edward Seaga time, refusing to do public spending. It's the same thing that is happening today. I'm going to continue. I wonder if the JLP is still working with the CIA today. The 1980 election bloodshed, the intense external funded capitalist versus socialist ideological warfare resulted in the bloodiest election cycle in Jamaican history, leaving over 800 citizens dead and cementing tribalized garrison politics. This is what the JLP created, because they were funded through the capitalists from the United States of America, having ties with the British colonial rule. They brought in guns, created garrisons, and said, listen, we will never surrender Jamaica to the PNP. We will never surrender Jamaica to the socialism. So they encouraged violence in the 1980 election. Didn't you hear what Desmond Mackenzie said? It is history repeating itself. We will never surrender. Don't be surprised if this Jamaica Labour Party do the same thing that Edward Seaga did in 1980. Remember, that is the reason why they speak about Mark Golding the way they do. It is coming from the early days of the Jamaica Labour Party. It was the Jamaica Labour Party that empowered political dons to enforce control over these garrison communities. The Jamaica Labour Party, ladies and gentlemen, armed gangs to exert control over the inner city communities. This effectively formalized a violent parallel system of governance that still plagues the nation today. So I want us to understand the history of the Jamaica Labour Party and why today the government is so reluctant to help the poor of this nation. There's a reason why they are so reluctant, ladies and gentlemen. Because the JLP was never built to benefit the poor. PNP already represents the poor. So the rich people, I want to make that as very simple as possible. The rich people from back in the day realized that the poor people had representation, the PNP, and they wanted representation. The rich people, the wealthy people. So they say, listen man, we need a party. The capitalists want a party to represent them. We want a voice to represent our interests. The privatization. That is literally, remember, the PNP was formed before the JLP, So because the PNP started representing the poor people, the working class, the JLP needed to represent somebody. So if the PNP already represent the poor people, the JLP represent another set of people. It's as simple as that. So don't be surprised, ladies and gentlemen, when you recognize that the businesses from the upper echelons of society, the businesses, the oligarchs, the elitists, don't be surprised when they support the JLP, the top CEOs. The importers who continue to import food that continues to destroy our system, our bodies. We don't want to grow what we eat and eat what we grow. The plantation society, ladies and gentlemen, is promoted and advocated for by the Jamaica Labour Party. So don't be surprised. Don't be surprised with what we're seeing here today. And I will continue to remind my viewers of this bit of history, because all of it ties into what we're seeing from the Andrew Holness administration today. Oppress the poor, keep them poor, withhold the donations from them, withhold the housing from them, gaslight them, mobilize the JCF to murder them. No justice, no nothing. It is the same thing that we're seeing today. But we are watching, we're observant, and we're looking at the activities from this administration. And we will continue to hold this government accountable. Election comes with consequences. And I am saying very, very early to the comrades, to the ones who have never voted before, you are looking around you today and you see what is taking place. And I am saying to you, you must respond by voting very differently in the next general election. We must vote very differently in the next general election. If we don't go out in our numbers, if we don't go out in our numbers, if we don't refuse the bribes, many persons were bought out. Bought out. If we don't go out in our numbers and vote, ladies and gentlemen, we put ourselves at risk for experiencing another tragic term. The third term is clear as day. We don't need to tell lies on the Jamaica Labour Party. We don't need to. We don't need to. The proof is there. The proof is there. Ladies and gentlemen, join me tomorrow at 3 p.m. for a clarion call, and at 6 p.m. for our evening program. Ladies and gentlemen, be vigilant. Be vigilant. Let us pray. Let us pray. Father, we give you thanks for your mercies and your grace. We give you thanks that you are still in control. We give you thanks that you are the ruler of the universe and even the ruler of Jamaica. It doesn't matter who would want to raise their heads. You are the God of Jamaica and you have the final say. Lord, when we look at how many of our Jamaicans are suffering, we're about to step into another hurricane season with unpredictable weather pending. We can only ask you, Lord, to send help, international help. Raise up another battalion of advocates who will be willing to go to the West and to do what is right by our brothers and sisters, because it is clear that this government has no intention of doing what they are there to do in any fair way. It is just a partisan way of recovery that we've been seeing from the very inception. And it is dangerous because there are children who are suffering, children who are unsure about their future. And Lord, we're asking for you to have your way. Please open up some doors. Open up the windows of heaven and pour out a blessing on Jamaica. Arrest those who continue to rob the poor, to treat the poor as if they're less than animals. Get rid of these corrupt characters in our government. We see them grandstanding. We see them playing the PR card. But we have accepted, Lord, that this is not enough. The people are willing and we are ready to challenge the oppressors on the facts, and we demand justice and truth. Be our strength and be our guide as we look to you and tell you thanks for what you have done, for what you're doing now, and for what you will do in Jesus' name. Amen. Amen and amen. The best is yet to come. See you tomorrow at 3 p.m. for Clarion Call, and at 6 p.m. for our evening program. God bless you, ladies and gentlemen. Take care.
the JLP. Corruption in the nation, what a sticky situation. Always see a degradation, innocent men at the station. Andrew and his cronies getting richer, them a big done. Talking about them helping out the poor, tell me which one. Juliet, a speaker of the house, me can't believe it. Them mashing those in trust, but people are go feel it. The JLP, them satanic and demonic. Now war fit the youth, them prosper only fit them pocket. I beg is hamping. Corruption in the nation, what a sticky situation. Always see a degradation, innocent men at the station. Andrew and his cronies getting richer, them a big done. Talking about them helping out the poor, tell me which one. Juliet, a speaker of the house, me can't believe it. Them machine the house in trust, but people are go feel it. The JLP, them satanic and demonic. Now war fit the youth, them prosper only fit them pocket. I beg you stop it. Corruption in the nation, what a sticky situation. Always see a degradation, innocent men at the station. Andrew and his cronies getting richer, them a big done. Talking about them helping out the poor, tell me which one. Juliet, a speaker of the house, me can't believe it. Them mashing the house in trust, but people are go feel it. The JLP, them satanic and demonic. Now war fit the youth, them prosper only fit them pocket. I beg you stop it. Yeah, 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 yeah. Yeah, 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 yeah. Yeah, 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 yeah. Yeah, 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 yeah,
Whoa.